Sometimes the scariest things aren't in nightmares, they're caught on camera. From eerie creatures lurking in the dark to cryptids that defy explanation. These terrifying encounters will leave you questioning what's really out there. Some sightings seem unreal, but the footage says otherwise. Scary Jersey Devil is real and was just caught on camera. Look, a man sat in his parked car enjoying the quiet night when something massive caught his eye. Perched on a tree branch was a dark figure with enormous wings, far too big for any bird. It had the shape of a bat, but was disturbingly large. His curiosity got the best of him, so he stepped out for a better look. That was a mistake. The creature suddenly spread its wings and took off, disappearing into the night. He stood frozen, realizing what he had just seen. The legendary Jersey Devil, no longer just a story. Angels in sky. Oh my god, actual angels! This local looked out of his window and saw something that made his breath catch. Two glowing white-winged figures hovered in the sky, their forms unmistakably humanoid. One landed on a nearby rooftop and began to walk, while the other held a trumpet. In many beliefs, angels with trumpets are linked to the end times, signaling great change. The eerie part, the trumpet was blown before both figures vanished into the sky. It was as if they had delivered a message. Whether it was a warning or something else, one thing was clear. They weren't just a trick of the light, and they might return. Church climber. This 2019 video stirred up quite a storm of speculation. It showed a winged figure climbing to the top of a church in Italy, moving with an eerie grace. Winged beings have long been seen as divine messengers, and many believe this was an angel appearing for a purpose, perhaps as a warning. Others linked it to old folklore, where supernatural creatures watched over sacred places. The way it ascended, slow but deliberate, left viewers uneasy. Unexpected visitor. A homeowner was waiting for his food delivery when he glanced at the door and froze. Standing outside was a woman in white, her hair tangled, her face barely visible in the dim light. She didn't move. She just stood there, like something pulled straight from a horror film. His stomach dropped. When he looked again, she was gone. He checked the cameras, but there was no sign of her. Mysterious carcass. This couple was driving through Petrolina when they spotted something disturbing in the middle of the road. It wasn't just roadkill, it was something else entirely. The creature had dark fur, a wolf-like face, and an eerie resemblance to the legendary Dogman. They had never seen anything like it. Unsure of what they had just encountered, they called the authorities, who arrived to remove the carcass. But even after it was taken away, the mystery remained. Had they really just stumbled upon something beyond explanation? Cave sorcerer. Whatever was hiding in that cave, he should have left it be. An explorer ventured deep into a rocky cave, hoping to find lost treasures. Instead, he found something much stranger. A figure, cloaked in black, stood in the darkness, moving a stick in the air as if casting a spell. Before the explorer could react, a stone flew toward him out of nowhere. He turned to see who had thrown it, but no one was there. More stones followed, coming from an unseen force. It was enough to send him running. So whatever was indeed hiding in that cave, he wanted no part of it. Floating shadow. A man stepped outside for a late-night walk, but what he saw made him freeze. A dark figure floated in the air, completely still. It had no legs, just an eerie presence that felt suffocating. The way it hovered, unmoving, reminded him of something out of a nightmare, like a shadowy entity waiting for its next victim. His gut told him to leave, so he picked up his pace. But no matter how far he walked, the feeling of being watched never left him. That thing hadn't just appeared randomly, it had chosen him. Shadow Stalker. Black Kuntilanak was caught by a ghost hunter, known for exploring the most haunted places. He found himself in a nightmare. He had been investigating an abandoned house when something moved in the corner of his eye. A shadow, too large, too fast. He turned, heart pounding, and saw it step from the darkness. Wild black hair, hollow eyes, and two twisted horns curving from its head. It wasn't just a spirit, it was something far worse. Was it the Black Kuntilanak fused with something demonic? Comment below. Window Stalker. Since 2017, a strange video has been making the rounds online. It shows a furry creature peering through a window at night, its massive eyes gleaming in the darkness. It stood tall, too tall for any known animal. Could it have been Bigfoot? The way it moved suggested it had wandered in from the nearby woods, possibly lost or searching for something. The homeowner, shaken by the sight, called in experts, hoping to guide the creature back to where it belonged. Whether it was Bigfoot or something else entirely, no one could say for sure. Jungle Beast. Deep in the Peruvian jungle, a seasoned hunter moved silently through the dense foliage, but something was wrong. A shadow shifted between the trees. Massive, unnatural. He gripped his weapon, expecting a jaguar or a bear. Then it stepped into view, towering, covered in coarse hair, with glowing eyes that burned through the darkness. Its face, a twisted fusion of man, beast, and something ancient. His breath caught in his throat. He had heard the stories of El Hombre Bestia, but no legend could prepare him for this. Tower Beings. One night, residents saw something in the sky that left them frozen in place. Two glowing figures with massive wings soared above the clock tower, moving in perfect harmony. Unlike planes or drones, these beings flapped their wings, rising higher before vanishing into the night. Some believed they had witnessed angels, messengers delivering an unknown warning. Others thought these beings were souls returning to fulfill unfinished tasks. The sighting sparked endless debates, but one thing was certain: those who saw it would never forget the moment they glimpsed something beyond human understanding. Eyes from Hell. This hiker was making his way through the woods at night when the silence around him was broken only by the crunch of leaves beneath his feet. But then, a strange feeling crept over him, like something was watching. His pulse quickened, but curiosity got the better of him. He shined his light around, searching for anything unusual. That's when he saw them. Glowing red eyes peering from behind a tree. His body tensed, but he slowly stepped forward, trying to get a better look. Just as he got close, the eyes vanished. Confused, he checked behind the tree, but there was nothing there. No tracks, no movement, nothing. Just as he turned to leave, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, crawling toward him at an unnatural speed. The video recording cut off right there. The most chilling part? Rumors say the hiker never made it out of those woods, and to this day, no one knows what truly happened to him. Building Shadow Mystery.
The lights are off right now. Oh, it just moved. It just moved.
The guards at an abandoned building were settling in for another uneventful night. But then, out of nowhere, the entire place lit up. The old flickering bulbs that hadn't worked in years suddenly came to life. The guards exchanged nervous glances, thinking maybe someone had broken in. But what they saw next made their stomachs drop. In one of the rooms, a shadowy figure stood motionless. Just as they tried to process it, the figure vanished. Their radios crackled as more reports came in. Two more dark figures had appeared, lurking behind a glass door. A worker unknowingly passed by them, completely unaware of what stood right behind him. At first, the guards thought it might be trespassers, but the more they watched, the more they realized this wasn't something normal.
Security! I just want to talk.
Climbing Woman. At a hostel in Chennai, students were settling in for the night when something bizarre happened. A girl stepped outside her room, only to freeze in place. There, in the dimly lit corridor, a woman dressed in white was climbing up a pillar with unnatural ease. Her tangled hair fell over her face as she moved effortlessly, scaling the wall as if gravity didn't exist. The girl's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't normal. Others saw it too. Some whispered that it was a witch, while others swore she was possessed by a djinn. The woman reached the balcony railing and pulled herself over without hesitation. That was the final straw. Panic spread through the hostel, and soon after, the building was shut down for good. Walking donkey. A dog sat in front of a farm gate, keeping watch as the night stretched on. Then, without warning, the gate creaked open on its own. The dog perked up, expecting the usual donkey to step out, but what appeared instead made its fur stand on end. A tall figure stood on two legs, something that shouldn't have been possible. The dog barked furiously, sensing something was wrong. Just as suddenly, the figure dropped to all fours, its form twisting until it looked like an ordinary donkey again, but the eerie feeling lingered. The next morning, several animals had vanished from the farm without a trace. Strange dog. Two friends were driving through an open area when their headlights caught something unusual. A pack of dogs ran across the road, but one of them looked wrong. Its body was too long. Its limbs stretched unnaturally, moving in a way that sent a chill down their spines. As they got closer, they realized it wasn't just a dog. This thing had the features of both a human and an animal, like something out of a nightmare. It wasn't just running, it was hunting. The other dogs seemed desperate to get away from it. The friends sped off, their hearts pounding. Haunting figure. CCTV cameras in Damar picked up something truly unsettling. At first, it showed nothing but a quiet parking lot. But then, a shadowy figure appeared near a car. It was draped in black cloth, its glowing eyes cutting through the darkness. It peeked out, disappeared, then reappeared, as if it was looking for someone. The footage sent chills down the spines of those who watched it the next day. No one had been there at the time, but what if it had come for someone? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Human-faced owl. A hiker was taking in the views when he noticed something that made him stop cold. An owl, but its face looked eerily human. Confused, he kept watching, unable to believe his eyes. Later, a local saw a similar creature perched on a wall, its body featherless, as if it didn't belong to the head. Some believed it was linked to dark magic, while others thought it could be an experiment gone wrong. Whatever it was, those who saw it knew one thing: it wasn't natural. Shadowed figure. It wasn't supposed to be there. A viral video left viewers unsettled. It showed a goat strolling along a path, when, out of nowhere, a tall figure dressed in black appeared. But this wasn't just any ordinary person. Its form was unnatural, its movements too strange. People compared it to Voldemort himself, as if the dark entity had stepped straight out of fiction. Speculation ran wild. Was it a ghostly figure? Something supernatural? The most disturbing thought was that it might have been hunting the goat. Whatever its purpose, one thing was clear: it should not have been there. Deep sea horror. The research vessel Joida's Resolution made a discovery that left even seasoned scientists speechless. Pulled from the depths was a creature unlike anything ever seen. Its massive mouth split into two halves, resembling something from a horror film. Creepy, nail-like appendages covered its body, twitching unnervingly. Researchers debated whether it was a predator, a parasite, or something even more bizarre. Some even speculated it could be linked to deep-sea organisms with alien-like traits. Not taking any chances, they secured it in a special containment unit, fully aware they had just uncovered something truly out of this world. Snowy encounter. A skier was gliding smoothly through the snow, enjoying the crisp air and peaceful silence. But then, something strange caught his eye. A massive figure stood among the trees, towering over the snow-covered ground. It wasn't a person, and it wasn't any animal he could recognize. The creature was huge and muscular, its presence alone sending chills down his spine. Quickly, he grabbed his camera and recorded as much as he could. Before he knew it, the figure disappeared into the snow, leaving behind only footprints. Confused but excited, he shared the footage online. People couldn't stop talking about it. Some were convinced it was Bigfoot, while others thought it was a Yeti lurking deep in the mountains. Bridgewalker. This was real, and no one had an answer for what they had just witnessed. A man parked his car near the famous pedestrian bridge in Kiev, taking in the view. But as he glanced up, he froze. A strange creature was crawling upside down beneath the bridge, moving as if gravity didn't apply to it. It twisted and turned, gliding through the steel beams in ways no human could. Others nearby saw it too, staring in shock as it moved with an eerie smoothness. Some thought it was an alien, using the bridge as some kind of portal. Others joked that it looked like Spider-Man, but deep down, no one was laughing. The way it moved didn't seem normal. The whole scene felt unreal, almost as if they had stepped into a sci-fi movie. But it was all real. Masked Girl. In 2012, a boy stood on the street waiting for his friends when he noticed a girl nearby. Something about her made him uneasy. Her face was covered in thick, dark hair, like something straight out of a horror movie. She didn't move at first, just stood there, almost as if she was watching him. But then, her body twitched, and her arms began stretching in an unnatural way. It looked like she was changing, almost like a vampire about to reveal its true form. The boy's breath caught in his throat as she turned toward him, her face still hidden behind a mask. Without warning, she rushed at him. Panic took over, and he ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He didn't stop until he was far away, his heart racing in his chest. Even after he escaped, the thought of that girl haunted him. Horned predator. One night, villagers stumbled upon a terrifying sight. A creature with long, twisted horns crouched on the ground, feeding on something. When it turned to face them, its large black eyes and unsettling grin sent fear through everyone. It looked unnatural, almost reptilian. Acting fast, the villagers scared it off, but it didn't flee alone. It dragged its prey with it. Some believe it had been lurking there for years, hunting in the shadows. It disappeared that night, but there was no guarantee it wouldn't come back. Winged Guardian. A group of ghost hunters ventured into an abandoned rocky area at night, hoping to capture signs of the paranormal. But what they found was something far beyond what they expected. A presence loomed nearby, and when they shined their light, they spotted a figure sitting on a rock, facing away. Then, without warning, massive wings unfolded from its back. It wasn't human, more like a cryptid, guarding something ancient. As they scrambled to escape, a pale humanoid appeared in front of them. It was the same creature. The footage cut off suddenly. Later, rumors spread that the entire group had vanished without a trace. Dark smoke wings. Was an actual mythical creature caught on camera here? A viral video stunned viewers worldwide, capturing a massive black-winged being in a parking lot. Not flying, but eerily close to the ground. As it flapped its enormous wings, dark smoke poured out, thickening the air around it. Its shape and presence resembled a dragon, a creature long dismissed as myth, but this footage suggested otherwise. Was it a warning? A sign of something approaching? Legends often have roots in reality. What do you think? Comment below. Monkey-faced chicken. A quiet village was thrown into chaos when locals discovered a chicken unlike any other. From a distance, it looked normal, but up close, its face resembled a monkey. The creature was alive, moving and reacting just like any other bird, yet its appearance was completely unnatural. Rumors spread quickly. Some whispered that it was the result of twisted crossbreeding, while others feared a hidden lab nearby, conducting experiments on animals. If one had escaped, what else was out there? The unsettling discovery left people questioning what really went on in the shadows of their isolated town.
Voici son numéro 014222.
Tree Destroyer.
Look at that.
It was waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. A man in South Carolina thought he saw an animal moving in the trees behind his house. It seemed like nothing unusual until something tore through the branches with unnatural force. As he moved closer, a massive section of the tree was ripped down, as if by invisible hands. The sheer power was beyond anything he had ever seen. No animal in the area should have been capable of that. Some believe it was a creature stronger than a bear, lurking unseen in the shadows, watching and waiting for this moment.
Oh God, he just took half the tree down.
Glowing beings. A hunter set up his trail camera deep in the forest, expecting to capture deer or foxes. But when he checked the footage, he found something he couldn't explain. Small, bluish beings drifted through the trees, some walking, others flying, their wings glowing in the night. They looked nothing like insects, more like something straight out of folklore. Were they fairies or something else? The camera had been meant for wildlife, but it had caught something far more mysterious, something that had remained hidden until now. Playground Fairy. At a playground, laughter filled the air as children played, but near a tree, one person noticed something strange. A tiny, flying being zipped through the branches. Not a bird, not an insect, but something with transparent wings and a small, humanoid body. It looked like a fairy. Legends say fairies are either ancient spirits, forgotten beings, or something much older than humans. The person quickly recorded the sighting, knowing it was the kind of thing no one would believe without proof. Roadside encounter. This was his last encounter. A driver was heading home on an empty road when something horrifying appeared in his headlights. The figure was thin, its small head barely proportionate to its body. It moved its hands in strange, deliberate motions, as if warning him not to come any closer. It wasn't human. It looked like something else entirely. Some believe it was a skinwalker, guarding its territory. What made this story even creepier? The driver vanished after that night. His car was found abandoned, but he was never seen again. All that remains is the chilling footage of his last known encounter. Horned Watcher. A group of boys thought it would be fun to explore an old, abandoned house rumored to be haunted. As they approached the entrance, one of them glanced up and froze. Staring back at him through a dusty window was a pale face, its features distorted, with horns curling from its head. The house had been empty for years, yet something was inside. Whatever it was, it didn't belong to this world. A wave of dread hit them all at once, and without hesitation, they turned and ran, leaving whatever was watching them behind in the darkness. Montana Crawling Nightmare.
Just some cruisers, man.
Army buddies were out near Browning, Montana, when they spotted something strange in the woods. At first, they thought it was a person, maybe a lost hiker, but then it started moving, crawling unnaturally fast, limbs bending in ways they shouldn't. The sight sent chills down their spines. It could have been a crawler, or maybe something even worse. They weren't about to find out. Panic set in as they scrambled into their Jeep, speeding off before it could get any closer. They never looked back. Forest Lurker. A camper had just settled in when an eerie feeling crept over him. Something was out there. Grabbing his flashlight, he stepped outside and swept the beam across the darkness. Then he saw it. A pale figure stood in the path, its body unnaturally bent, as if preparing to charge. It didn't move. It just stared. His mind raced. Was this a skinwalker? He wasn't about to find out. Heart pounding, he grabbed his gear and got out of there. A night in the woods wasn't worth risking whatever was waiting in the dark. Abandoned Watcher. An urban explorer wandered into an old farmhouse with a sinister past. The place had been tied to chilling stories. A missing child, strange sightings, unexplained noises. As he moved through the dusty halls, a heavy silence filled the air. Then he saw it. A white figure with huge staring eyes standing motionless in the shadows. It wasn't human. Every instinct told him to run, and he did, bolting out of the house without looking back. Whatever that thing was, it had been watching him the entire time. Woman in Dark. Villagers were going about their evening when they spotted something chilling. A woman creeping through the darkness, her movements unnatural. Something about her didn't seem right. Then her eyes glowed in the dim light, sending shivers through those watching. Was she possessed? A spirit? The unsettling presence left them shaken. Instead of waiting to find out, they called a priest, believing something beyond their understanding had entered their village. Whatever she was, they weren't about to face it alone. Horned Entity. A security camera positioned near a graveyard captured something beyond explanation. At first, the footage seemed ordinary. 2 tombstones, quiet surroundings. But standing near one of the graves was an eerie figure, its form shadowy yet distinct. It had horns, giving it an almost demonic appearance. Some believed it was a lost spirit tied to the grave, while others feared it was something far worse. It never moved, never reacted, just stood there watching. Was it waiting for something? No one could say. But those who saw the footage couldn't shake the feeling that whatever it wasn't done yet. Hospital Ghost. Some patients never truly left. A security officer had just started his new job, patrolling an old hospital that had been abandoned for years. The staff had warned him this place had a reputation, but he brushed off the stories as nothing more than rumors. That changed around 2 a.m. when he heard faint noises echoing down the empty corridors. His flashlight flickered, and a shadow moved in the distance. Then he saw it. A figure in a hospital gown stood at the end of the hall, silent and unmoving. He called out, but there was no response. Taking a step closer, he blinked, and the figure was gone. Hey, what's up? Eyes in the Dark. Outside an abandoned house, a group of locals stopped in their tracks, frozen by what they saw. A massive shadow loomed behind the crumbling wall, its glowing white eyes peering out at them. The eerie sight sent chills down their spines. In many cultures, jinn are said to inhabit places like this, silent, forgotten, and filled with an unsettling energy. The locals knew better than to linger. These beings were known to be territorial, and they didn't want to find out what would happen if they overstayed their welcome. Without a second thought, they turned and left, convinced that whatever was inside that house wasn't meant to be disturbed. Wall Jumper. A street camera picked up something that left viewers stunned. A dark figure moved at impossible speeds, leaping from one building to another. Its shape was hard to make out, but its movements were unlike anything seen before. One moment, it was on the ground. The next, it scaled the wall as if gravity didn't exist. The most unsettling part, with each jump, its form seemed to shift, almost like it was changing shape mid-air. No one could say for sure, but whatever it was, it defied logic, and it was still out there. Fiery Figure. Did the camera just capture a guardian angel? A person filming from their home managed to capture something unbelievable near an old warehouse. A glowing figure moved through the area, its body flickering like flames. It wasn't just light. It had form, purpose, and an eerie presence. Some said it resembled a mythical being, a spirit of fire that had lived there undetected for years. But this wasn't the first time it had been seen. Others had reported similar sightings, all describing the same fiery glow. Was it a guardian of the place, or something else entirely? Field Stalker. Late one evening, a woman noticed her farm animals fleeing in terror. Confused, she drove toward the field, expecting to find a predator. Instead, she saw something far more disturbing. A pale, humanoid figure stood in the open, its body moving unnaturally, as if it wasn't fully in control of itself. Before she could react, it disappeared. But it wasn't gone. Moments later, she spotted it again, half hidden in the field. Watching her, its presence sent chills down her spine. Subscribers pick. In January 2024, a chilling encounter was caught on camera. A man, sensing something unusual, hid behind a tree, trying to get a better look. Moments later, he saw it, perched high on a wall, a towering winged being, its form almost too monstrous to comprehend. It resembled something out of nightmares, its presence alone enough to freeze him in place. Then, it moved. The creature locked eyes with him and launched forward in an instant. The villager bolted, barely escaping as the massive entity vanished into the sky. Spooky?